Welcome to Launching Light, the podcast for lightworkers and spiritual entrepreneurs to get tips and inspiration to launch their light in the world via their sacred business. I'm your host, Coach Bianca from FuelYourMagic.com. Are you seeking ways to raise your vibe to rise in your business? If so, keep on listening. On this episode of the Launching Light podcast, our guest is Helen Christodoulou. Helen is an intuitive mentor and consultant and founder of the Fusion 7 Healing Mystery School. She's the author of The Miracle Frequency, 49 Powerful Transformation, Ascension, and Evolution Techniques. She is also a facet-focused lifestyle coach for weight and health management. During our conversation, a few topics we touch on are relying on your innate wisdom to find empowerment, choosing reliable sources of outside guidance when needed, and using a fasting-focused lifestyle for energy healing and physical health. So let's get to it. Enjoy the episode. Hi, Helen. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so glad that you joined me today. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, Bianca, and thanks so much for having me.
Can you describe a little bit about yourself and your work?
Yeah, not easy, but I will try to quantify it and put it in a nutshell. Okay, so basically the reason why I'm into, all of this kind of metaphysics and energy work stuff is simply because of my very own experience, which was a diagnosis of multiple sclerosis, which was 99 or 2000, thereabouts. And I was having a lot of trouble with the whole of the medical profession. I was very sensitive to the meds, so I was pushed quite literally into an alternative path. So that's where it all began. Yeah. People just got wind of my story. And people started coming for sessions, and it was word of mouth, and it just spread like wildfire. So I didn't actually start through, through platforms or from the internet. It started in real life.
Right.
And then people got wind of it, and I ended up going on TV as well. I've done about 7 TV programs also. So that's how I kind of started out.
And you went on TV because of your having had MS, and then you no longer had symptoms of MS, or?
Yes, that's what it was. Like, people were like, how did you do that? And so when they found out that it was all based on metaphysics and esoterica, that's what really sparked the demand and people's interest in it all. And then it just kind of, the rest is history. It just all started from there.
Right, and all blew up.
Yeah, and it all blew up in a good way.
Right. And I did read your book, The Miracle Frequency, a few years ago, and I loved it. Your story was very compelling. And what I took from that book and what I really brought to heart was that you can make a difference in your health. Don't let anybody tell you that something is incurable.
Absolutely.
You can make changes, and if that's what people call a miracle, well, okay. But I think that we all have that power, and I think we just need to tap into that, and if we know what to do. So can you go a little bit into that, into like how you managed to get to the other side of multiple sclerosis?
For sure. Well, the first thing is that what we need to realize, and this might put some people's backs up, but the absolute truth about it is that I didn't wait for science, and I didn't wait for medicine to give me the go ahead to do everything that I did. So I was literally my very own guinea pig, and I really do feel that without the literal experience of going through something, you cannot reap the wisdom. And if you don't have the wisdom, then you shouldn't really have an opinion about it either, if that makes sense.
Right.
So, so there was the experience. So I was following hunches at the beginning as to what to do with it. And also because my mum used to study a lot of natural hygiene books when I was a child. So that was the beginning of it. So I started out, it's really funny how it's come full circle actually, because it started out with like nutrition and naturopathy, which I did actually study, and I became a naturopath. That was my very first platform, if you will. And I also studied traditional Chinese medicine. So these two things were my foundation in terms of retrieval of my well-being.
Right.
And then from there, I just basically started to get into all of the energy work stuff, and found that, you know, vibrational energy and healing was really my go-to point at that time, because the external stuff wasn't helping me as much as it should have had.
Right.
And that's because there were pieces missing from that puzzle, because naturopaths, like back in the 2000s when I studied, they weren't as clued up as what they were now. So anyhow, I went into the energy path, studied it, applied it to myself, then created my own methods, which in a nutshell became something, the Fusion 7 Healing Mystery School, which is basically all about healing, metaphysics, and esoterica. And so I put in many, many concepts, applied it to the self. People saw that I was getting well, asked for the sessions, then asked how could I do this? How could I study this? And that's how the mystery school came about. Right. Now, it's very important to realize, though, is that we really do have to ditch our dependencies and whom it is that we rely on, which goes back to what I was saying about the medical profession and science. Mm-hmm. I completely bypassed everything that they were scaring me with, you know, and went ahead and did it anyway, even on my hunches, even though I was scared back in the day. And now, all these years later, 20 years later, they're starting to catch up a little bit.
Right.
So they're always going to be about 10 or 20 or 50 steps behind. So we really, what we need to do is really return back to our instinct and our intuition. If we're really going to come into a fruition of any kind, either to do with our lives or our health or our careers or any actual sector of your life.
That's very true. Like, we really need to turn back into ourselves, our inner guidance, especially with our bodies. And I think growing up, we're just taught to always look for outside guidance.
That's it.
You know, it's always look for some kind of like to outside authority to tell us it's okay to do a certain thing, or and we're also taught to not follow our inner guidance at all. You know, intuition, it's just your intuition, or, you know, it's very downplayed. So, but when it comes to your body speaks to you through your senses and your intuition. And it's like, how could we turn that off? It doesn't make any sense to me, but
that is the very reason that MS happened, because I became separated from the self, you know, and you know, once that happens, everything breaks down. You know, your cells stop communicating one with the other, and then that will then lead to dis-ease, right? So this is why it was very important as the first step, even though I had the naturopathy and the TCM as my backdrop, my education. At that point, it didn't matter. I had to go within and rewire everything. And, you know, that took all of the, you know, esoterica and the metaphysical aspect to put all that together and then come back to the naturopathy and the TCM. So it came around full circle afterwards. Right. Yeah. But, you know, don't believe that you can't do it. You can. We all can. We just have to, you know, push the fear aside and just, you know, do what it is that we have to do to get there.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people, though, they're afraid to take that first step in right. So would you recommend maybe seeking out a coach, even though that's an outside influence, but someone like you who has already gone through something like this, and you sort of have already been through it, so you've experienced it, so you can guide someone through it a little bit easier than feeling like you're all alone?
Yeah, you know, the outside influence, it's very fundamental what you've just touched on here, because we all need the outside influence to be able to bring it back inward. But it all depends, and I must really stress and highlight this, it depends whom and what that outside influence is.
Right.
If it's coming from the mainstream, you can bet your backside it probably won't be a very good source. Right. So you really need to go to a source that is alternative, that is authentic, that is real. And I know that there are a lot of charlatans in our field as well. Mm-hmm. So it really is about filtering out all of that, finding something or somebody that resonates, and then that guidance, that coach can then guide you back to yourself. But that mentor is not going to be the person who's going to tell you how to do it. They're the person who's going to give you the tools so that you can do it yourself.
Beautiful.
Because it really is about retrieving your own sovereignty, not having someone else do it for you all of the time. And this is why I went so much into the teaching sector, because I got a little bit, I don't mind helping people, it's part of my vocation. It's always what I'm going to do. But I wanted to teach people how to do it so that they can help themselves, rather relying on you to dish out the pill. And it doesn't even matter if it's an esoteric or a natural pill or a metaphysical one. But if you have the tools to do it yourself, it means you are then empowered to make, decisions that are based on your own intuitive sat-nav, your own intuitive navigation system.
So what exactly are your offerings? Are they coaching, or are they teaching, or are they both? Or
yeah, it's all of that. So one aspect of it, is Fusion 7 Healing Mystery School, where one can learn different approaches that are all to do with immutable truth and putting yourself back together, let's say, from an esoteric perspective, and a lot of it relies on intuition as well. So a lot of the teaching is about developing that too. So that's all part of the mystery school. That's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is there are one-to-one mentoring sessions, and that's where you've got a specific situation or a problem in your life. Doesn't matter what it is. They say, what's your niche? And it's everything and everybody, actually, because at the end of the day, everything is derived of energy.
Right.
So I get to mentor people and help people from all walks of life that have all kinds of problems, whether it be professional ones, whether it be personal ones, emotional ones, psychic ones, spiritual ones, kind of do it all. When you understand energy well, it doesn't really matter what the problem is. You've got a good command of it all. So that's your one-to-one sessions. And then the full circle that I spoke of earlier on is that I've gone back, brought it all together as part of the Fusion network to the naturopathy, which means that I've all brought it back to the physical side and incorporated as well coaching sessions for people's retrieval either to health or weight management, whether they are obese or underweight or want to cut, whatever it might be, through a fasting focused lifestyle. So, and this is an intermittent fasting that you get with the whole keto protocol. This is about long-term fasts and how to incorporate it as part of your lifestyle for your health retrieval, whatever that health may be. And then what I did with that, what makes it different with my coaching sessions with that, is that when we run into issues around the fasting focused lifestyle stuff, then we incorporate increments of healing where you need it to help to push you to move forward and over, your challenge, so that you can reach more goal more effectively.
Right. That's really interesting to me. So the fasting will probably bring up things that need to be healed, because now that your body isn't focused on processing the food that you're putting into it, now all of a sudden there's energetic stuff that you can focus on more directly. Do I have that right?
That's right. So, it depends which avenue you're coming from. If it's physical stuff, it's going to heal the physical stuff. If it's spiritual stuff, it's going to heal the spiritual stuff. But unfortunately, we've got to a point where we've been conditioned to believe that nature and your body's ability to heal is quackery, and that it's perfectly okay to be cut open and take toxic medications. And, that's completely sane just because medicine told you so.
Right.
And, that's pure insanity. But at the end of the day, all of the wisdom is inside of your body. And when you know how to fast safely and correctly, then it allows the body's innate wisdom to take care of whatever it is that you need to heal from. So we're covered all the way around, from the spiritual and the esoterica all the way to the physical stuff. So it's to do with the exoteric to the esoteric, and from the esoteric all the way back to the exoteric.
And that's true being holistic. It's 100%, 360 degrees. It's everything that's involved.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. See, people usually are only working like one particular aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that, this system that I've developed is truly holonomic, which
mm-hmm.
comes from the Greek holonomigo, which basically means the whole law. The whole law. Olo
Right.
means all, and
right.
nomos means law. So, it's basically, the system, Fusion 7 healing is about incorporating holonomically all of the laws of nature and the universe.
Now, can you go a little bit into what the 7 means for you in the Fusion 7 healing?
It actually means a lot of things. Like you could talk about the 7 hermetic principles. You can talk about the 7 energy centers, the 7 main energy fields. But where I got it from is that somehow our ancient ancestors, they kind of knew that we were the 7th planet from the outside in our universe. And it always kind of perplexed me. How did they know that? And so, because obviously they had great wisdom through the study of the stars, somehow that wisdom came to them, and so this is where the 7 came from. So we are the 7th planet from the outside in. But somebody had to have been on the outside to be able to let you know that we're the 7th from the outside.
It was from
in,
the outside perspective, because most of the time we would say we're the 3rd rock from the sun. So
right. It's an outside
funny.
perspective. So, it's quite fascinating. So that's where it came from. And the fusion is obviously about bringing all of the wisdoms together. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So, what do you currently do for yourself, for self-care, and what do you find is the most important for your spiritual and physical maintenance?
Yeah, I do have like I don't follow it all the time, but, it kind of, I bounce in and out of different things through different phases. But basically speaking, I always try and withhold a decent kind of workout or exercise routine. Like I used to be a personal trainer back in the day before I got sick with the MS. So I do continue to exercise at the gym when the gyms are open, because obviously because of COVID, they're not right now, even here in Cyprus. But even so, I still do, my resistance training and a little bit of cardio just to keep everything running tickety-boo. A little bit of yoga stretching and some Tai Chi stuff incorporated when I fancy it and feel like it. So that's the physical aspect, and there's a lot of fasting. So the fasting focused lifestyle is in my everyday, in my every week, because the reason that I'm so heavily into it is that, it's all about stem cell regeneration. And I'm very much into that so that I can stay on top of the MS situation. I want to constantly be regenerating new stem cells. And you can do that through fasting between 3 and 7 days. You actually do get that literally. And that is something that's now documented, hey ho, by science, would you believe? So,
finally.
Yeah, woo, they're catching on, So that's, it's in my everyday lifestyle kind of thing. Like I fast between 3 and 5 days per week specifically for that. And then, of course, on the other days, it's, it's healthy, healthy foods, more or less. And every, quarter or so, I'll throw in, like a detox, because that's connected to the naturopathy side. So I'll do a liver detox or a kidney detox or or an intestinal detox, whatever. And of course, at least once a week, I will dive into my esoterica and do some, vibrational / energy healing for an issue that may have popped up or something that I'm dealing with in my day-to-day life. So that is basically my routine of how I keep well.
Do you consider yourself cured from MS, or do you consider yourself having MS but no longer exhibiting any symptoms? Because there is a difference.
Yeah, there definitely is a difference. And I want to be completely honest, there's no real way of knowing. There's no real way of knowing. So I would definitely say the second one, which means that I'm pretty much relapse free and stuff. And I feel now, because I've done tons of the energy work, but I feel now that I've gone full circle back into the naturopathy and to the fasting focused lifestyle stuff, which is our kind of original blueprint and what we were originally designed to do. Actually, I think by bringing that in really fully, I'm pretty confident that, I know it's like a really corny thing to say. We're not allowed to say things like cured, do you know what I mean, things like that. But I think I do believe that if I get, because I think I've got about 6 months under my belt of hardcore fasting, and I feel also from an intuitive perspective that if I continue for another 6, that I can definitely put myself in the category of saying that I'll probably never see a relapse again.
Right.
But, I can only come back to that after I've had more time under my belt, you know. But let's just say for now that I'm pretty sure that I'm heading into completing, that chapter of my life as well.
Beautiful. That's perfect. So is there anything that you are currently working on? Any offers that you're going to be putting out soon, or?
Yeah, well, basically the fasting focused lifestyle is my latest addition to my Fusion 7 healing, the whole mystery school thing. And so what I will be doing is, people that are interested, I will be offering like little 15, little mini consults.
Okay.
Just to give them like a little taster or a little idea of where they're at. And they will be getting that from an intuitive investigation. It won't be based off of what their health issue is. It will be based off of what's coming through esoterically. And then based upon that, if they wish, they can choose what kind of a session they wish to have as a result of that. Perfect.
And what's the best way for someone to connect with you if they like to work with you further? Do you have a website? Or?
I do have a website, but the website needs to be updated. So that's more about the mystery school, the website. I do have YouTube, and my YouTube, Helen Makes Miracles. That's what I am basically across all the platforms. The YouTube is more snippets of classes that I have taught from way back then. And I haven't actually done a lot of live stuff in a very long time, but I plan to relaunch that. But if you're looking to contact me, the best way to do it is either from IG Messenger or Facebook Messenger. That's probably the most direct way. Or you can either email me at fusion7healing@gmail.com.
And what's your Instagram handle?
Helen Makes Miracles, at
Beautiful.
Helen Makes Miracles. Yeah.
There is one more question that I forgot to ask you. You had mentioned all of the people that you work with and all of your courses and everything. Is that directed more towards someone who personally wants to work on themselves, or do you have a certification program as well for other people who would like to work with your modality? Is that something that you also offer?
Yes. That's a very good question, actually. So for any class that somebody wishes to take, there is a certification for it. It is available online, but not online yet as a course, a ready-made course that you can buy. But you can actually buy a one-to-one course online that will be facilitated live online. So if you want private tuition, yes, you can do that. And yes, there is a certification for it.
Yeah, the reason why I asked is because our audience is mainly spiritual entrepreneurs, and they study other modalities and then they incorporate it into their own healing practice. So that's why I figured I would mention that. Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited that you came on. Like I said, I read your book years ago, and I was thrilled that you said you wanted to come on to the podcast. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me once again.
What a conversation this week. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Launching Light. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Helen as much as I did. If you love her vibe, give her a follow. Check out the show notes for her contact information, as well as how to get a hold of her life-changing book, The Miracle Frequency. Be sure to join me next time on the podcast to get more tips, tools, and practices to help you make your business as magical as you are. Now get out there and launch your light. Have a magical week.